I'm Chris.
I'm Sandy.
And this is Parenting Autism. Here we go. Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 146 of the Parenting Autism podcast. 146.
Wow.
Can you believe it?
Not really.
We've been doing this for years.
For years, that's right. And here we are for another one.
Yes.
Because we feel like there's just always more to share.
Yes.
So today we'll catch up from the past month like we normally do.
Okay.
So we took a big trip this past month. So we'll talk about that. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to talk about also some social interactions that Bryce has had recently. And I think that's just an important topic to talk about as Bryce is now 12 and entering puberty and becoming a teenager and learning to socialize with different people his age and just in the general public. We'll talk about that. Good.
We're squeezing this in as we await the arrival of our wonderful friend, Coach Shelley, a.k.a. Bryce's basketball coach and good friend from Special Olympics. She's coming over to watch Bryce while we go out and have me and you time.
That's right. Date night tonight.
So when she gets here, we'll wrap it up and roll.
That is correct.
Wrap and roll.
So we're going to jam it all into a shorter period of time, but here we are and here we go.
We be jamming.
Okay.
What's up?
So let's start with, we took Bryce to West Virginia to see snow for the first time, like really see snow. And I think we had talked that was part of his Christmas gift that we had made. And we tried to time it out to where there would be fresh snowfall. And it all worked out. So we thank God for that. He saw it piled up when we got to the Virginia Welcome Center. So we stopped for a little bathroom break, and Bryce
he was thrilled.
Walking through the snow, kind of running through. We had to teach him about ice and how to be careful with that because sometimes you don't see it and you can slip and fall, which thankfully we had no injuries making the videos that we put on YouTube.
Yes, nobody was harmed.
No. So we had a really great time, and we saw a few flurries fall that first day when we got there, but it had fallen all right before we came. It was piled up high. We had fresh snow on the mountain. We got to do tubing. You want to talk about that?
Yes. Bryce went tubing. No, just kidding.
I thought you'd do a little more.
No, we went outside briefly before tubing that same day to try to build a snowman unsuccessfully. But
on that, I want to say...
You did do a snow angel.
Well, I did. That wasn't what I was going to say. Bryce had fun playing. But what was really a sweet, sweet moment, and you don't even realize how sweet it was Bryce was having a hard time making a snowball.
Oh, yeah.
Because the snow wasn't sticking together, and he had never tried it before. And he was trying, and you were saying, do this, do that, do this. And then finally, you went over and you showed him. You modeled for him, and you were making one while he was watching, and he was making one, and you did it together. And it was really a sweet moment. And to me, I'm like, that's what Bryce needs. He can't just hear instructions and do things all the time. He needs it actually modeled for him and more hands-on instruction. And then he was able to make one and throw it at you.
Yeah.
But really, it took that extra effort for Bryce to be able to do that and enjoy that part of playing in the snow.
Mm-hmm. Yes. You're right. And I had to stop what I was doing because I was making my own snowballs. And help him. And, that's...
Right.
But
a lot of times that gets missed, and that's my point.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So anyway, But yes, after that, we did the tubing.
It was very difficult to make a snowball because the snow was very powdery and it wasn't packing. So
right.
I think if it would have packed a little better, he would have been able to do it on his own. But in any case, so this is our first time tubing ever.
For all of us.
Snowshoe Mountain. And we get there, and so we're walking up, and the lady's like, "Oh, hey, do you have your ticket?" I'm like, "Yeah, I have the tickets." I said, "This is our first time here." And she's like, "Oh, okay, great. Just grab a tube and go over and get in line." And I'm like, "Okay." So I told you guys, "Come on over. Let's get a tube." I didn't know there was different size tubes. One for kids and one for adults.
I didn't either.
Depending on the size of your bum.
Oh.
And so anyway.
Makes sense.
So we get in line, and I had no idea what to expect. So you sit down in your tube, and they hook you up to this line that's going up the hill. And then all of a sudden you're going up a steep hill backwards. And that was a little unsettling because obviously you can't see behind you or where you're going or what's going to happen. So at the very top of the hill, it dumps you off like a 10-foot drop into this little cup, if you will. And like, you didn't know what was happening, right? So I knew somebody was behind me, so I had to quickly get up, grab my tube, get out of the way. And so I yelled to Bryce, you're going to have to get up, get out, out of the way when you get up here or whatever. And so we did that, and then I didn't know about the red light, green light. So I get over to the tube lane, and I'm getting ready to go down, and, somebody's like, "Oh, it's not a green light yet," or something about the red light, green light. I'm like, "Where's the green light?" And they're like, "Oh, it's way down at the bottom of the hill on the top, left of the tubing lanes." So I looked, and finally I see the little green light.
Oh, it wasn't that tiny.
It was. I mean, it was. It was.
If you knew to look for it, you'd see it.
Well, only if you knew to look for it. Good point. So if you didn't know to look for it, you wouldn't have seen it.
Well, because you'd be looking straight at where it ends. So it is off to the left.
So anyway, you got to line up in the lane, and you got to wait for the light to turn green.
And do you understand why they had that?
Well, yeah, so the people at the bottom could clear out.
Yep.
Yeah. So.
But there were a lot of people that didn't obey that. So then.
Oh yeah. Then we had to wait for them.
There became issues. Yeah. Yes, exactly.
So anyway, all of this, we had no idea. I let the lady know it was our first time, but hey, just grab a tube and whatever.
Learn as you go. That's the program,
as you go,
honey.
And that's
it's
what
okay.
I did.
Yes, you did.
So we went down, and I spun around backwards on the way down. I don't know. I was doing 40 miles an hour or something like that.
I let you guys go first so I could observe.
It was nuts.
And I will say the first time I spun around,
fast,
it
right?
was a little thrill-seeking there.
And then at the bottom, you go up the other hill to slow you down.
And every time I went up, I got stuck
up
at that top. I had to push myself back down.
It was, listen, Bryce had a blast. And so did we. We had a blast too.
We had a lot of fun. I had to learn to keep my bum up off the ground so it wouldn't be so bumpy. I'm not sure that it was good for my spine. So we only did it so many times. When you're 56, it's very different than when you're 12.
Yeah.
But for Bryce, they were open for an hour and 45 minutes, and he was a little nervous the first time because he didn't know what to expect. And then once he did it, he didn't stop the entire time. The full 145, he was going. He was just racing this other little boy at the end. I mean, he had the best time.
He did. I've never heard so many happy noises coming from Bryce ever. Yeah. I mean, he was having so much fun, and it was so much fun to watch him.
He said, "It's the best day of my life."
Yeah.
Later, he said that really wasn't his best day because New York City with the skyscrapers was. But at the moment, that felt like the best day of his life. So he did not mind the cold at all. Yeah. And it was cold.
It was very cold. It was 0 that morning, and then by the time we got to the thing, it was 36 or something.
Yeah, and we were bundled up well.
And it was nice. It wasn't
It really
real
was.
cold,
The wind wasn't cutting.
Yeah.
So it turned out to be a great experience.
And we have the videos on YouTube. And so speaking of YouTube, we have reached a milestone on YouTube. There's enough subscribers on there
and view hours
to launch other things for us to offer, including ways for us to offer merchandise.
Which we haven't done that yet, but what we have right now is, it's called Super Thanks.
Yeah.
And so if you go on any of our YouTube videos, you should see down at the bottom an opportunity if you want to donate something, just to say super thanks for all the work that we're doing with the videos. And it's really not for us, but I will say that we got our first super thanks donation the other day, and it is from someone who has supported our channel for a while. Shout out to Mr. Robert in Germany.
Yes.
And so
thank you, Mr. Robert.
Bryce saw the donation first, and he came in the room and he's so excited. He goes, "Mommy, we just got 10 euros. We just got 10 euros. He was so excited. Yeah. It was a super thanks. And I guess that highlights the comment that you have and any message that you have for us. So just so you all know, Bryce is at the age now that he has enough awareness of this channel that he's been checking the analytics. He's been checking the stats. Now he's wanting to do videos. He's telling us what he would like to do, where previously the past couple years it's been more us doing it for him and watching everything, but now he understands, and so he's like super excited watching all of it. So anytime that you do something and you make a comment or you support in any way, Bryce is seeing that and appreciating it.
And we can put that toward our next adventure, whatever the super thanks that we bring in.
That's our plan. Any donations or super thanks or money
an adventure for
ads.
Him.
Yep. That will be for another adventure. So
awesome. So check out our YouTube channel. It's Parenting Autism Show.
Mm-hmm.
So, and you'll see our logo, the colorful puzzle pieces. So,
and I have to say that Bryce's most popular video is the dental cleaning that he had last fall. And so he has another one in 2 weeks. So we're kind of like, okay, we have another dental cleaning opportunity here. People like it. So we're going to record it and we'll share that too. Yeah. But anyway, so that was an exciting milestone, and that has just recently happened. So thanks for mentioning that.
Yeah.
And while we were on vacation, kind of leading into the social aspects for Bryce and what we're learning to teach him, he wanted to take his stuffed animals, Flippy and Splashy. And that is a huge dolphin and a huge whale. Stuffed animals that he got from SeaWorld. So don't think 12 inches. We're talking 3 feet long. So he was very excited to take them. And so they're on the video too and on YouTube. But anyway, when we were checking out, he had the animals with him because we made him carry them down out to the truck. And so there was the person at the hotel desk who was checking us out, and Bryce wasn't using his words. He was kind of using his animals, wanting them to comment on Flippy and Splashy. So I knew what he wanted, but the person there at the hotel didn't quite understand. So Bryce is like smiling in anticipation. He's holding both the animals under his arms. He's getting closer and closer and closer to where like the fin, the bottlenose on Flippy's face is almost touching the lady's face, So it was like, okay, Bryce, and I just said, he wants you to say hi to Flippy and Splashy. So she's like, oh, hi, your animals are cute. And then he pulled them back, right?
Mm-hmm. That happened in the elevator too.
Yeah, and then it happened in an elevator. Another time, same thing, but it was a guy and his son, and Bryce really wanted them to acknowledge the animals, but he doesn't use his words. He just expects people to know what he's thinking, and he gets closer and closer.
And he doesn't know personal space.
He doesn't.
So we had to tell him about personal space.
And we had to tell him about personal space. So when we get out, you started telling him about
and then he got
personal
upset,
space. And so then he thinks he did something wrong, and then he got upset. And so we had to really work through that. And that is something that we haven't had to address in a while. But then I thought about it, and I thought we're pretty isolated people who really don't go out into outside of our bubble. So Bryce is around Special Olympics. He's at Minsky Gym. He's at therapies. He's
all the people
at
that
Mammals,
he knows.
family. I mean, it's people that know him, he knows, and we don't have these kind of issues really. So it was just another reminder for me that this is something we're going to have to continue to teach and learn. And how we teach and learn, how we teach him is really what is important, in a way that he can learn easily, and in a way that he has to learn to accept, I have to say, positive criticism or helpful advice, however you want. Yeah, constructive criticism, helpful advice, things that he's got to learn how to process in life, because he's not going to just receive it from us. He's going to receive it from other people who might not hand it to him as delicately as we try to do.
The good news is that when he brought Flippy and Splashy, he was able to sleep in his own bed without us.
And that was one of the reasons why we were on board.
Which is big, because he's sleeping by himself at home, but whenever we would go away to a hotel and you get two beds in the hotel room, he never wanted to sleep in a bed by himself.
He wanted me or you to be with him.
With the stuffed animals, he was able to do that.
Yep. So it was worth taking them. And we drove. It wasn't an airplane, so that made it easier. But anyway, so that was one thing that kind of came up again, like, wow, from a parenting autism perspective, I think it's something we visited a long time ago with Bryce was personal space when he was like 5 years old at VPK. And we've talked about that in a past episode before. But this is different because he's not 5 years old anymore. He's 12. He's 5'4" now, I think, because he's about 5'3" maybe. And it's a whole different situation when you have someone who's older. And that's what you're trying to explain to him, is that if you get in somebody's personal space and they don't know you, they might be scared. They might react to push you away. You don't know how somebody's going to respond when you get too close to them and they don't know you. And especially now that you're older, it's totally different situation.
And you explain it in a very clear and understanding way. But as soon as he gets an inkling that something was his fault or whatever, and we don't say he did anything wrong. We don't even, insinuate it, really. I mean, we just say, hey, just be
I guess
careful.
we are insinuating it because we're having to point out something that needs to be done differently.
True, but still.
But he's highly sensitive to it, I'll say that. Yeah. But on the other hand, I'm grateful that he's highly sensitive, that he's at least sensitive to it, because he is so open to learning to do the right thing. It's just, we don't want him to feel bad about himself or harm himself in the process. So, But anyway, so that was one thing that we dealt with. And then the other thing, I won't go into too much detail, but I will say that one of Bryce's friends invited him into a group of friends. And he did not know those group of friends. So he was 100% relying on the friend that he knows, if that makes sense.
To make sure that those people
were acceptable to be friends with. Yeah. And we totally trust this friend who Bryce was in the group with.
And we keep a close eye on him,
and
on his games. Make sure he's not chatting with anybody that he doesn't know or joining groups with people that he doesn't know.
Accepting friend invites from people he doesn't know. And he's aware of the dangers, and so he doesn't do that.
So these two new friends were introduced into this game that they were all interested in. And
it was elevators.
Yeah.
Something harmless, right?
And we overheard, some chatter about what was going on, and Bryce sounded like he was getting upset, right? And,
yes.
And
but we know why he was upset. It was because of bad language.
Right. So the one...
So somebody that he didn't know.
Somebody that he didn't know was using bad language, and he told them not to use the bad language, or he was going to leave.
Yeah.
And I don't know.
I was proud of him. He said he'd give them 3 strikes. Yeah. And I guess they did it a third time. He goes, I told you 3 strikes and I'm leaving.
Yeah. And so there was a conversation about Bryce having autism.
And we could hear that.
Yeah, we heard that. And so I kind of kept a close ear as to make sure that there was no bullying which thankfully there wasn't. There was just some, conversation that Bryce has autism, and
I don't think
they really didn't elaborate on that.
No, because here's what I heard, and you tell me if you heard it differently. I just heard, we know you have autism, and then they repeated it. We know you have autism, and Bryce goes, yeah, well, and then they said, I forget now what they said, but Bryce's response was, well, I'm not an alien. I'm here on Earth just like everybody else.
Oh, I didn't hear that.
Oh, yeah. And so I think he was like, well, that doesn't make me any different.
Right.
I'm just like you. And that was his way of saying, well, I
Yeah.
have autism, but I'm not any different than
Right.
you. I was here, I'm here on
He
Earth.
just doesn't like bad language.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm proud of him for being bold and speaking up.
That's what
and
we
a lot
told
of people
him.
don't do that.
Yeah.
But so I was proud of him for doing that. The other person left, somehow got.
Well, he left the group.
Mm-hmm.
And then he was almost in tears, and he was upset that he was not upset that he got out of the group.
Language.
He was upset at the language and that it was used, because he knows that it's not okay.
Yeah.
And so several days later, they invited him back into the group. And then he was very nervous because he says, well, I don't want to be in this group unless, he calls it family friendly, unless it's family friendly.
Mm-hmm.
And so that other person was back in there, used another bad word, and that other kid got booted out of the group. Mm-hmm. So then Bryce like, well, why did you bring me back in this group? I needed to be family friendly. And they said it is now because that other person isn't here. Mm-hmm. So I thought, well, that was really great. I did not expect that to happen, but that lets Bryce know you can take a stand for your beliefs and advocate for yourself.
And the one kid was good with that.
And the group, if it's a good group, will invite you back in and clean it up for you. And if not, you don't need to be a part of that group.
Right.
So to me, that was like huge wins and also huge lessons for him to learn, and that he's going to continue to learn with life. But yeah, that just recently happened. And I thought, wow, that's another thing to just talk about on the podcast, because I love that he knows his beliefs strong enough that he speaks up. And that is great. And then on the other hand, I always said, if Bryce doesn't understand, I didn't want him to have enough awareness of his differences that it affected him. Like, I don't want it to affect his self-esteem and how he feels about himself, or just to not know at all. And I felt like when he said, whoa, I have autism, but I'm not an alien. I'm from Earth too. And I thought, okay, good. He knows that there's nothing wrong with being autistic. It's a good thing in many ways. And yes, it has its challenges, and we talk about him with that, but doesn't everybody? And that's what we tell him. We all have our challenges. Yours are just different.
Right.
And so I thought it was just a really good outcome.
It was.
Yeah.
It really was.
So I did want to bring that up today. And then we're still working with him with his cognitive behavior. And so he was having some
School.
He had school. She helps him with school, and he's going through his final exams right now, and he's got 2 of them done. And it took us 3 days to get through math. And there were some tears because it was, the math final review for the year. So a lot of the stuff he hadn't seen in 10 months.
Yeah.
And also there were 50 questions. And when he sees 50, that's overwhelming for him, because normally there might be 25. And it's twice as much. So I told him, we can take our time. We don't have to do any other subject on that day. We'll make it all about math. If you want to do 10 questions that day, we can come back and do 10 more the next day, and we can do 10 more the next day. I really relieved the pressure of
The time.
Because I think that's the biggest thing for him.
It is.
And so once we remove that, and he had more control on the time, knowing that, and he got through the more difficult ones and saw there were some easier questions. And of course, as we got to the more recent subjects, it became easier for him. And so, we got through it. He passed it. He made a 90%. I was thrilled.
Were you going to say something about Miss Sophia?
I was going to say about Miss Sophia. So besides the school stuff, also he had got upset about something else. And we have been having, trying to regulate his emotions. And I realize that's going to become more challenging with puberty, right? As the anger. And Bryce has told me, and this is another thing, like he verbalizes to me now, it comes so fast, I can't stop myself. And when he got upset with the math review, he took the mouse so quick and slammed it on the desk when he had a wrong answer, and he cut his hand in 2 little spots. It was nothing major, but it was enough that he broke the skin, right? And then he saw a little bit of blood. And then he was more upset that he had injured himself by doing something like that he couldn't control. And so I told him, I understand that, and I understand it happened so fast. That's why we're working with Miss Sophia. That's why we're getting you tools to help you learn how to process your emotions before you react. And, I told him people don't do this, and sometimes when they're adults, they punch holes through the wall. We don't want you to be that person. You're going to get stronger. You could accidentally hurt yourself or do something that you don't want to do. So we have to learn to control these things. And that's why we're getting you help. And so once I reassured him that that's why we're getting help and we're doing something about it, it calmed him down and he wasn't as sad about it. But there was a lot of stuff going on the past couple of weeks with these kind of things,
Emotions, yeah.
And we're dealing with that. And another thing is like he's got his daily chores that he does. I call them chores, but it's like opportunities to earn a check mark. And so one of his things lately is I need you to keep your room clean. And keeping your room clean, all that consists of is keeping your comforter and your big animals on your bed and off the floor. I want the floor cleared, so when I walk in, there's not stuff all over the middle of the floor. I don't care about everything else because we keep it relatively clean in there, and he doesn't take food in there, and there's no issues. So he didn't get a check mark one day because I went in after a few warnings and there was stuff on the floor. So when he didn't get the check mark, of course, that was a lot of drama, and he missed an opportunity to get a check mark, and he did something wrong. And so we talked to Sophia about that. Well, what can we do about that? So she suggested that he write on an index card every morning what he can do to earn a check mark that day.
So
that way it's fresh on his mind,
he does have a hard time
he will remember because I have it on a list for him on the refrigerator, but he didn't handwrite it and he's not taking time to go look at it and read it. So once we did that, he says, do I have to do this every day? I said, if you want to earn the check marks and you want to remember what you need to do, yes, writing helps you remember. It helps your brain retain that. And then you have a better chance of learning the check marks. And he wants to earn the check marks because that gives him rewards. So that was another good thing that came out of a session this past month that I thought I would share in case somebody else is kind of doing those kind of things. And then I only have one other thing that I was going to tell you that was kind of funny, and then I am done.
Okay.
So you good?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. So we've been taking Bryce to music again on Wednesday mornings, and he goes with most of them are adult age, and we've probably talked about it before, but he sings and he plays different instruments, and Mr. Elvis, who is a local music instructor, he's awesome, and he goes there and works with all the kids there, right? So Bryce has been telling him that he was going to take a saxophone, and he hasn't taken a saxophone yet because we don't feel like he's ready to take it.
He needs to learn a song.
And so every time that he goes, he will tell Mr. Elvis, I'm going to bring the saxophone, but I didn't bring it today. And I guess Mr. Elvis points at him. Well, I didn't know this, but Bryce goes, oh boy, I didn't bring my saxophone today. Mr. Elvis is going to give me the finger. And I said, what?
Give me the finger.
I had no clue what he was talking about. I said, give me the finger. He goes, oh yeah. He points his finger in my face every time, and he gets really close to me. And so he showed me what it was. And of course, it's the pointer finger up close to his nose. So when we got there, Bryce goes, I didn't bring it today. And then Mr. Elvis takes his pointer finger and gets it right up to Bryce's nose and wags it. And it was so funny.
That's
so
funny.
Yeah, anyway. Bryce has no clue what that really
Good
means,
times.
but that was funny.
Bryce is really enjoying being back at music.
Oh, yeah. That's been really good. We just, I just flip the day and I do school in the afternoon. And that's what we do. And that's the beauty of homeschool. So
being flexible.
All right.
All right. Thanks for listening to our short but sweet podcast, and we'll be back soon. Again, if you have any questions, you can still email us at parentingautism@att.net. Be sure to check out our YouTube channel. It is really taking off, and if you want to see what we've been up to, that's where we're at most of the time. Thanks for listening again. We'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.